think I should change my name. Thanks, Jade. All right. So the gospel lesson today is from the Gospel according to St. Luke, in the 12th chapter, beginning at verse 49. And this is what Jesus says. I came to bring fire to the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. I have a baptism with which to be baptized, and what stress I am under until it is completed. Do you think I have come to bring peace to the earth? No, I tell you, but rather division. From now on, 5 in one household will be divided, 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. They will be divided, father against son and son against father, mother against daughter and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. He also said to the crowds, when you see a cloud rising in the west, you immediately say, it is going to rain, and so it happens. And when you see the south wind blowing, you say, there will be scorching heat, and it happens. You hypocrites, you know how to interpret the appearance of the earth and sky, but why do you not know how to interpret the present time? This is the word of the Lord for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
Where I lived in Virginia, I was engaged in a never-ending war with the landscape. You may have heard me a few weeks back telling the children about our futile effort at cultivating grapes. No matter what Claire and I, mostly Claire, did, it all came to naught. Our grapevines were most unproductive. On the other hand, every year I spent hours and hours cutting back the wild grapevines that were strangling our trees and shrubs. Some people are smiling. They know what I'm talking about. Wild grapevines. So I had a visceral reaction to the passage from the 5th chapter of Isaiah, 1 through 7. But Isaiah was not reflecting on vineyard husbandry. The vineyard was a metaphor for the people of Israel, the people of Judah in particular. And he talks about how God has given them a wonderful vineyard and cultivated the hills and to bring forth fruit. It's reminiscent of a restoration of the Garden of Eden, where everything was given as a gift from God. And yet the people have ruined it. They haven't cultivated the life that God intends for the people of Israel. I wonder if folks know the biblical reference in the Battle Hymn of the Republic. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. So he planted nice vineyards, and now wild grapes have come forth. And God will trample the grapes of wrath. I don't know if you've ever tried to eat wild grapes. Oh, not good. Perhaps Julia Ward Howe had this metaphor in mind when she wrote the famous Civil War hymn to the tune of John Brown's body lies a mouldering in the grave. For Israel, things had gone terribly wrong. God expected justice, but saw bloodshed. Expected righteousness, but heard a cry. The beautiful vineyard of Israel, Judah, would be made a waste and become overgrown with briars and thorns, and drought would come upon the land. Thus says the Lord of hosts. Jesus was speaking to his crowds, those who had come to follow him, to learn his teachings. And our planet today faces two extinction scenarios. One is a quick death by nuclear war. It would only take a few hours to destroy life as we know it on our planet. A mistake could precipitate such a catastrophe. I'll talk more about that some other day. But there is a second extinction event looming, and that's the extinction event of climate change. This is the slow death. If unheeded, you can't just take an eraser out and make it go away. It's something that is cumulative over time, and once it's unleashed, it's hard to roll it back. Unfortunately, it seems that people would rather just pretend that life can go on the way it's always done. And we have a government now that is planning to roll back the protections and the regulatory guidance of the Environmental Protection Agency, which is trying to reduce greenhouse gases, CO2 emissions, and methane, which is about 20 times more potent than CO2. And it's as if people want to put their heads in the sand and not read the signs of the times. The best science that we can muster is telling us we're running out of time, you know? And the beautiful planet on which we live and thrive is in serious danger because we fail to read the signs of the times. And to make matters worse, people are divided. It's crazy, you know. There are those who think that the best way for humans to thrive is to drill, baby, drill, and to create more greenhouse gases. We've divided ourselves into a people who, don't pay attention. Why can't we see the handwriting on the wall? Trust the signs. Why? Why can't we see this? Why are we in denial? Anybody have any answers to that? Well, I have a theory, and it's rooted in my understanding of the Bible, that it's about selfish greed. If it's going to make people who are rich richer, then that's what we're going to do. Selfish greed. The root, to use another agricultural metaphor, of all evil. Jesus was well aware that the prophetic witness isn't easy on the ears. And trust me, it's not easy to preach about it either. Do you think I've come to bring peace to the earth? No, I tell you, rather division. I have a suspicion that most of us didn't come to church today to hear that message. But eventually, discipleship is a choice. We can choose to walk the path that he sets or not. It's not an easy path to walk. There's going to be a lot of resistance, and people will be divided one from another. Some will walk where he leads, others will not. Some will choose to defile the garden, the vineyard. Some will choose to honor creation. There'll be those for whom the garden is a means to increase wealth for a few, and those who respect the planet as given to us as a trust from God. There'll be a division between exploiters and stewards. We're immersed in a culture of consumption, and as my high school economics teacher said, conspicuous consumption. Probably heard that phrase before. I can barely keep my own head above water in this culture. At every turn, I find myself complicit in the evil around us. I spend an hour driving to church and an hour driving home, and so on. But it's nothing compared to the emission of greenhouse gases from moving the Seventh Fleet from one part of the world to another. The greatest consumer of fossil fuels is the military-industrial complex. I don't know what to do. Sometimes it's too much to bear. But I know that in solidarity with the company of other stewards and lovers of God's creation, we can press for transformation. There's a hymn that was, in my view, unfortunately left out of the 1989 Methodist hymnal. And I'd like to close my message today with this hymn. It was called Once to Every Man and Nation by James Lowell, a Bostonian, for Red Sox fans. There are one or two among us. And It was written in the mid-1800s, in 1845, as a protest against the Mexican-American War. But the song has implications for much more than that one epic. The old Methodist hymnal. Still a few copies around.